Broncos country. I have been a Bronco fan since 1991 for 34 years now. The day that I was born, I've always felt like, blue and orange is going through my veins. And never once have I felt so flummoxed and confused and didn't really know how to evaluate the Denver Broncos really the way that I'm trying to do so this year. And we're going to break down what the other media outlets are saying, the NFL.coms, the ESPNs, the CBS, all of those guys. And then I'll kind of give you guys my thoughts, but I'd love to know what you guys' overall thoughts of this Broncos team are below, because it's something that I think is really confusing, but it's fascinating at the same time. And it makes it for a really, really fun final 9 games or so, whatever, 10 games or so of the season. So let's just jump right into it, man. Where are we at right now? Okay, so shout out to Mile High Report for this week eight Denver Broncos power rankings around the web. All right, NFL.com right now has this ranked as the 10th best team, saying all of this. I'm not going to read all of it, but basically he says he's flummoxed with teams dealing with teams similar to what the Broncos did on Sunday, sleepwalking for 3 quarters, dominating, and still almost coming up short. But you can't deny the fact that they have a really good defense, and that they have a young quarterback that, when his back is against the wall and when he is trailing, is more than elite. And we'll get into that. Yahoo Sports has the Broncos at 7th. If the Broncos could bottle up the fourth quarter offense, which led to the wins over the Eagles and Giants, they'd have something. Both of their losses came with no time on the clock, Colts and Chargers. They're close to getting on a roll, but the offense has to find consistency. Yep, I would agree with everything that they say. CBS has got the Broncos, at 6th. Asking the question, why do they start so slowly on offense? And then ESPN got us at 11th. It says a whole bunch of really weird stuff talking about justice or not. I don't know, but they got us at 11th. Anyways, Pro Football Talk has us at 5th, saying spotting the other team 19 through the first 3 quarters isn't the typical winning formula. Thanks for the good insight there. USA Today got us at 7th. And Fox Sports got us at 11th, and Sports Illustrated got us at 11th. So really, the highest that we're ranked is 5th. The lowest that we're ranked is 11th. I think all of the rankings in terms of like where we're in is fair, no doubt about it. But I want to know what you guys think. Here's my view on this team. All right. Yes, it's unbelievably frustrating, and it's not a sustainable formula to have to rely on coming back and playing your best football in the fourth quarter while being absolutely miserable and horrible in the early stages of the game. Really just not being able to find any kind of consistency. We've beat this with we've beat this like a drum basically since the season started. We have to find consistency, and that obviously is not something that changes. But there does have to be something said about their ability to show the grit and put it together and win these games against quality opponents, right? I know the Giants are 2-5, but I think that they were a team that was trending up in the right direction, and the comeback was historic. But that is the biggest differentiator between this Broncos team last season and this year. Last year we were 1-7 in 1-score games. This year we're 4-2 in 1-score games. So that's obviously turning around, and they obviously believe and they're figuring out ways to be able to win these games. Now, you don't want to find yourself in those situations all the time, right? We were in 8 1-score games last year. For 17 games, 8 of them were 1-score games. We were 1-7. Through 6 of those 7 games have been 1-score games. That is troubling. Now, it's positive that you've won 4 of those 6, but it's troubling that you're even in those close of games consistently. And a lot of the times against teams you should not have been. You had no business being in a close game with. So I would say that if I'm going to rank this team, I would probably rank them in the top 10, but at 9 or 10 right now, because we do have a championship level defense. I think we have an elite defense that's proven that. And that is always going to be something that gives you the opportunity to win games. Whether we're elite on the stat sheet or not, doesn't really matter. You just got to look at this team. We are unbelievable at pressuring and sacking the quarterback. And we're really good on third downs, and we're unbelievable in the red zone. So those are going to be factors that will always give your team a chance to be in games. Offensively, man, it's brutal. It is brutal how much of an eyesore it is to watch. and then how much of a thing of beauty it is to watch all in the same game. And I really can't even put my finger on one thing. You could talk about when the Broncos go to hurry up and they don't do as much substitutions. Sure, that helps, but you look at the comebacks against the Eagles and you look at the comeback against the Giants, we still did substitute personnel packages in and out. It was just almost as if the team was playing more loose. Bo Nix didn't have to worry so much about the play clock going down to 0 or reading the defense and making a check. He was just snapping the ball and going. But right? So we know that that's helpful for him, but that's not a sustainable way of playing offense. It's just not how offense in the NFL is played all the time. You have to be able to have the chess, you have to have the counter moves to the moves that the defense is going to show. And so that's where we need to be better. I think with right now fixing this offense, it's all about going back to basics, man. You have to establish an identity. I loved that. I felt like we were really starting to establish an identity after the Bengals game and then into the Eagles game of running the football, dominating the line of scrimmage, and then being able to run the offense off of that. That's what we need to see more. And Sean Payton needs to be better. He needs to be better at simplifying more of the game. I'm not saying don't bring in your personnel packages or don't try to set up certain plays with certain play calls. Like, you still got to do that, but you got to do it a little bit less. And you obviously have to do it at the right times within the game. But let the team, especially early on, let this offense just get going a little bit. Let's feel them get a little bit of momentum, a little bit of juice, a little bit of confidence. And then you can worry about all the mini intricacies. Because that's what I feel like is really starting to kill this team, right? And I get it. It's not always going to be on the play caller. I think Sean Payton, even in the Giants game, when I went back and watched it, designed a lot of wonderfully designed plays, called them at really good times, but they weren't executed. But at some point, you got to realize, okay, instead of just being like, well, you guys better execute it. You guys just got to execute better. Like, there's got to be some give and take. Yes, they have to execute better, but yes, you have to put them in more favorable positions more often. So that's what I always say, and people always think, oh, you're way too optimistic. But like, I do have a lot of optimism about this offense because it's not a lack of talent. It's not a talent issue that we've had for so many years under Vance Joseph as a head coach, Vic Fangio, good Lord, Nathaniel Hackett. Like, we had such a lack of talent at many times. I don't feel like that's the case now. I feel like we have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. I think we have a wide receiver one in Sutton right now who's dominating. He's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Evan Ingram is showing that he can add a lot of juice to this offense. Troy Franklin's playing well in these opportunities. Marvin Mims is big play Marvin, always making plays when the ball is in his hand. And you can even look at like Pat Bryant as somebody that I feel like has shown his glimpses. And then in the running back room, people want to hate on RJ Harvey, understandably so. He hasn't really gotten a lot of opportunities as a pure runner, but he's developing and he's becoming better as a pass catcher. But J.K. Dobbins has been a top 5, top 10 rusher in the NFL this year. He's been a beast. The run game's been great at times, and at least especially when we've committed to it. And it was really his 32-yard run against the Giants that you felt like got the offense going a little bit finally. Like, let's get the ball going. And so it's not a lack of talent. That's why I'm not really overly concerned about if this offense is eventually going to click. It's just one of those where you're kind of starting to run out of time a little bit, right? You want to start playing your best going into November and December, but it doesn't even seem like we're there at all. It doesn't seem like we've really progressed to getting there at all if you take the fourth quarters away. So I'll tell you this. I think the Broncos are a very solid football team that has done a lot, like has a lot of self-inflicted wounds. But we're running out of time, man, and I'm running out of excuses for this team. They're running out of excuses, honestly. We've got to see something that is just more consistent and more fun to watch for the full 4 quarters. And so we'll see how they ultimately adjust. If it's ever going to happen, we kind of got blessed with having a wonderful, a really good matchup this week. In a sense of, if you want to get your offense back on track, if you can't do it against this Cowboys defense, there's not going to be many opponents that you can do that against. So I expect to see the Broncos really try to establish an identity and a rhythm and look like a solid NFL offense this week. They have to, because if you're not going to do it against the Cowboys, you can kiss it goodbye with any of the other opponents that you're facing this year, probably. right? On the flip side, the Cowboys have the best offense by quite a big margin in the NFL. I think that they're a team that really bad matchup for us, considering how we've been playing. So we'll dive into that game as the week goes on. But we need to figure it out. And I think it starts with establishing the run. Get those drive starters going, right? And don't make things so overly complicated to where everyone on this offense is thinking, not just Bo Nix. There's a reason that some of these linemen are getting penalties. They're getting the pre-snap calls on the one week it's a receiver, 1 week it's a lineman, 1 week it's a running back, 1 week it's a quarterback. Like, these guys are thinking too much. Let them go out there, play a little bit more free, execute one-on-one, force the teams to beat us, and then you adjust from there. And you rock out. So this is a crazy stat. This is an absolutely crazy stat. And Sports Illustrated pointed this out. They said, and I quote, Bo Nix's numbers when behind this season are incredible. He's completing more than 75% of his passes. He averages 100-plus passer rating. He has 11 touchdowns and 0 interceptions when down. Say what you want, man. You guys can be, some people can be critical of Bo, and there is some aspects of his game to still criticize as he's continuing to develop. But guys, we got a special, special player under center. I'll tell you guys that. There is no doubt in my mind, whether we came back from 33 down or not, there's no doubt in my mind that we have our franchise quarterback here in Denver. And that's something that we should all be really pumped up about. But let me know in the comments below, man, what do you guys think this Broncos team needs to do to just show a little bit more consistency? I'm just asking for a little bit on offense. Oh, and by the way, special teams got to be better too, man. RJ, we can't have you tiptoeing kickoffs, out of bounds on the 5-yard line. Put 1 foot out of bounds, 1 foot in, and catch it. And you get the ball at the 40. But every week it's something. And I'm sick of saying that. So we'll be better. Go Broncos, baby. Excited for this week. And until the next one, peace out.